Meet your maker.
Almost got me that time.
I'll yield to none.
Greet the Reaper for me.
Glory is mine.
Oh, almost got me that time.
I'm ready.
Better luck next time.
You're not trying to escape, are you?
Meet your maker.
Meet your maker.
You're not trying to escape, are you?
Glory is mine.
I'll yield to none.
Greet the Reaper for me.
Glory is mine.
Prepare yourself.
It all happened like I knew it would. A single drop of source magic. And, like flies to honey, the monsters swarmed. The rebel panicked. The carnage began. And the Magisters pointed their fingers at me. Just as I'd planned. I was shackled and collared and sent to Fort Joy. I'd come here to kill Godwoken. But instead I became part of their story.
Well, look what the dog dug up. You're lucky they didn't notice just how thin you were under those bandages. Although, seeing someone wrapped up like that, they probably thought you had the scabbing plague. Heh? Look, laugh, but don't touch. Better keep that hood down, mind you. The living don't take kindly to seeing their future staring back at them.
I'll need to write to headquarters right away.
Oh, everything's spick and span. Nothing left to do, really. There. Not too tight, I hope. The collar, I mean. Oh, not to worry. Every dog has to get used to its leash. In the meantime, your next stop will be Magister William. All passengers have to be registered in the ship's manifest, and he's the chap in charge of the logs. You'll find him on the other side of this deck, in the officers' quarters.
No lesions, no trauma. He was bled by magic.
No, you're alive, and you're having a conversation. You are on a ship, of course, but luckily for us both, we're merely sailing the plain old sea.
Index fingers pressed to her lips, she pauses a moment to give you a scrutinizing gander.
My word, you do seem a bit befuddled, don't you? Perhaps I was a bit too generous with that sedative. Oh well, I'm sure you'll soon gather your wits. Most likely. Eventually. In the meantime, all you need to know is that we're en route to Fort Joy. A new life awaits. And if you're a particularly good boy, perhaps a cure as well. An end to Source. For good. Why, for my peace of mind, of course. Why don't you try casting one of those Source spells of yours? See what happens. Oh, do go on. I won't hold it against you. Promise. My, aren't we a meek little lamb? Perhaps I needn't have collared you at all. though it does look darling on you. So let's just leave it on, shall we? Because, to answer your question, what the collar does is this. It makes you unable to cast source. For your own peace of mind, of course. Yours and the whole world's.
Good gods. There's been a murder here.
Ugly sight, isn't it? Burns me up this happened under our protection. We're extremely lucky no Voidwalker followed the source that did this. Finn didn't see it like that. He was desperate for us to help him. Two things scared the living daylights out of him. His own shadow and his own source. We'll find out who did this. Speaking of...
She looks up at you with a mirthless smile.
I was on duty in your room when the murder happened. You were asleep the whole time. Didn't even stir. You're one of the only indisputably innocent people on the ship. Unless you can commit murder in your sleep, of course. Not with that collar on, you aren't. Listen, I could use someone to keep their ears open among the passengers. Sometimes they clam up in front of a uniform. Bring me a good lead, and I'll throw in a shiny gold coin for you. How about that?
What a well-acknowledged this tone is.
Think about it. It's one of you who got killed, not one of us. We want to find who did it and bring them to justice. Who's your real enemy here? You let me know if you hear anything. Whoever did this is dangerous. No marks, no indications of a struggle.
What a well-acknowledged this tome is. Dallas is such a dear lending it to me.
No lesions, no trauma. He was bled by magic. For who? No marks, no indications of a struggle.
What a well-acknowledged this tome
Behind the
is.
Magister, a bloodied mass lies in a heap. Gore and limbs lie at odd angles. You can't make out a face amid the mess.
There's been a murder. A sorcerer was killed by one of your own. Lucky you were busy getting your collar fitted at the time, or you'd be a suspect like the rest of them. Waters is investigating. She'll figure out who did it. Always does. It's a small ship. His name was Finn. Oddball. Looked to me like he saw something he wished he hadn't before he came here. We'll find out who did it, one way or another.
No indications of a struggle.
Sing us a song, I know you can. Be good, you scallywags.
They don't care about us. We're like cattle to them.
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
One of us wouldn't kill our own. They're picking us off one by one.
Ah, there you are. Husband. Would you please tell this very charming gaggle of not at all brat-like babes that I am by no accounts this loser woman, nor do I sing, in fact. I'm deathly allergical.
The young woman seems about to raise her hand, but quickly remembers herself and nods pointedly at the excited children.
Who indeed? Why, my name is, Madame Josephine Gribbles de Peeb.
The children break out into giggles.
I say, it is.
Her pinched face cracks into a great grin, and she shoos the children away from her with a laugh.
Yeah, okay, you found me out. Go on and git, and maybe I'll sing you something when I'm good and ready.
She turns to you, dark-eyed and dirty-haired, and smiles flatly.
Gotta keep ourselves entertained, haven't we? You presume right. Nope, trying not to find anything out either. Ignorance is bliss. The utterer, the better.
Kid, you been down by the room up the hall?
Suddenly, her eyes cloud to an unnatural black. Greyish veins run down her face, and her mouth tightens into a cruel sneer. As quickly as they came, the clouds clear. She smiles as though no change came over her.
Good luck, Chief.
She got eaten by a void woken.
Forget it. Name? The Divine Order wants to know. Well, you aren't here on my list. Scrammy, we're trying to catch a killer here. Unacceptable. I've never dined on anything less than a dozen.
You one of them? A Divine Order loyal? They killed a sorcerer, you know. They'll hide the evidence well enough, but make no mistake.
A broad dwarf sits totally upright on the bench, eyes closed, palms face up on his knees. His beard is a cascade of meticulous plaits, each one braided through with golden medallions. He raises an eyebrow as you approach, but doesn't open his eyes.
Listen up, boy. You hear that? The ship, of course.
A wave of sound washes over you. The unintelligible chatter of your shipmates, the groaning of wood from floor to ceiling, the boom, crash and crackle of waves around you, complaints from the sea itself.
And? Sick as a leper's cat. From the state of it, I'd say she's being cared for by a bunch of beardless babes who never loved anyone but their own mums. But there's more. Listen close. There now, just like that. Aha!
His eyes snap open as his countenance breaks into an expression of joy. One great paw claps you on the back. The other catches you before you lose your footing.
There. You heard it, didn't you? I knew it. I knew it. Aye, this is good news, boy. Good news.
As soon as the Inquisitor gets here, we'll hang you right over the side of this ship.
It's the wheel. The wheel. Don't you see, you beautiful idiot? Squeaks whenever the helmsman jerks it clockwise, which means we're heading east. Pardon my beard. That means if we've been travelling for, yes, only 10.34 nautical miles to Fort Joy.
There's nothing else I can make, Your Majesty. Turnips and water are all I was given.
Unacceptable. I've never no indeed, boy. But that ain't my final destination.
The dwarf leans back from the table and strokes his beard, gold medallions jingling merrily. His eyes roll over to you.
That'll be all. Thank you kindly, boy. If you'll be pardoning me, I'll be much obliged.
Seems to me you should be a little more afraid. There's a killer about, after all.
I spent my life singing for my slaves to bring me my supper. Finer fare than boiled roots and rotten tubers, too. Meanwhile, the Magisters feast on honeyed meat behind this very wall. The indignity.
Never thought you'd end up a
Well,
prison
well.
guard.
What have we here? A fresh face in this stale hell. Let's size you up, shall we? See if you'll do.
The lizard looks you up and down, like a farmer would a fetching horse. All of a sudden, he grips you firmly by the chin, with the intent of inspecting your teeth.
We'll hang you right over the side of this ship with it.
There's some discoloration, as well as a rather disconcerting lack of tongue and gums, but I've seen worse. After all, one can't expect to find prime merchandise on a squalid little ship like this. Now then, to business. You will answer me 3 questions. The first one is this. Can you cook?
One of us wouldn't kill our own. They're picking us off one by one.
And we just skip to the part where I reassure you and you shut up.
You think me mad?
And of course, a cook who can't taste is about as useful as a dog in a chess game. On to the second question. Can you knit, weave? In short, tailor? Yes, I can tell from your vagabond chic, a bag is as good as a shirt kind of style. I shouldn't be getting my hopes up. On then to my final query. Have you the ability to administer the upkeep of one's personal appearance? The delicate art of cosmetics is what I'm after. Just as I thought. That explains what's besieging my nostrils. So, 3 questions asked, 3 questions answered. Let's evaluate, shall we? As per your own testimony, you have the taste buds of a dung beetle, the fashion sense of a monkey in a clown suit, and your personal hygiene reminds one of a carcass rotting in the sun. That won't do at all, see? I'm sad to say I must deny you the opportunity to be my slave. Ever so sorry.
What are you trying to hear anyway?
I'll tell you if you can keep it quiet long enough for me to listen.
My slave, of course. Oh, but I see. Yes, I suppose it must take some time for the full extent of my disheartening refusal to sink in. Still, hone your skills, and one day you may just qualify for a position in a lesser household than mine. You keep dreaming, you hear?
That's right. I always knew you'd turn out rotten, Ben Mezd. Your kind always hung closest to our divine, like wolves around a campfire. I'm busy watching for clues, sorcerer. Go take your subs.
A scruffy man lounges against the wall with scarred arms folded. A sly smile playing on his face, he stares across at the Magister guarding him. Noticing you, he straightens and beckons for you to come closer.
Watch your back, new fish. There's a murderer on board, and I'd bet 3 months' pay it's this tramp Ifan.
Rolling his eyes at the Magister's warning, the man named Ifan beckons again. He leans in and adjusts your collar with a sharp tug, balancing its weight so it no longer presses unpleasantly on your neck. He winks.
Pinches less that way, right?
Hocking a phlegmy gobbet in your general direction, the sullen Magister settles back to his task of glowering at Ifan. And now, you.
We used to know each other, more's the pity. I was his commander many, many, many moons ago. Isn't that right, Vic?
Standing far back from Ifan, the tight-faced Magister draws one finger across his throat in an elaborate fashion, but says nothing. Ifan grins, flashing pointed white teeth.
Same as he was at 14 years old. Only difference is somebody gave him a bigger sword and now he's Johnny Big Pants. Long story. Maybe I'll tell you about it in the Joy. Away from interested parties. No. The dead man, Finn, is it? I'd no business with him. And I wouldn't put a man down without good reason.
He glances over at Magister Victor, who's staring back at him with pointed intensity.
Damn shame sheer annoyance isn't reason enough. The Joy, I've heard a lot. Nothing good. No surprise there, since Bishop Alexander runs the show. Wonder if we'll get to meet the ringmaster himself.
Maybe that has the Magister's more concern than your appetite.
Don't you get saucy with me when you clearly don't know the first thing about sauce.
Not interested in the son of the divine himself? I don't blame you one bit. But Vic here will blow a blood vessel if he hears you talking like that.
What are you conspiring about over there? You! What's your name?
Oh, don't mind him. Vic's just got a bee in his bonnet. And that bee is me.
Name?
Magister Victor looks at you suspiciously, then scrawls something illegible down in a tiny notebook. He scowls at you as he stows the notebook back in his voluminous robes.
Away with you, at once.
Ifan performs an elaborate pantomime of keeping quiet, one finger in front of his lips as he leans back against the wall.
It was one of them. I know it.
Would you put a knuckle in it? I'm trying to concentrate.
They don't care about us.
The elf is reading a volume of Cranley Hubert's famous encyclopedia. He looks up, his big round eyes scanning your body, absorbing every detail. He reaches out and examines your bandages, rubbing them between his fingers.
Fascinating.
He sits back and returns to his book, flicking quickly from page to page, completely oblivious to your presence.
It is simultaneously too detailed and insufficient. I know the beginning of this tale and the end, but I am rather missing the middle. Tell me, what do you know of our world's history?
How dare you classify this slop as food? I've seen more appetizing things coming out of plague-stricken pigs.
There's nothing else I can make, Your Majesty. Turnips and water.
Oh, please. I have no interest in that. Your books are too full of it already. No, I want to know about the Celestial. I want to know about your gods. This text tells me that they created all creatures, but nothing of what came before. Where did these gods come from? Who are their people? Where are the others of their kind? Of course you don't have any useful information. Why did I expect it? Now please, run along. I have a world to decipher.
No amount of pestering will get the elf to take his eyes off his book or respond to your questions.
One of us wouldn't kill our own. They're picking us off one by one.
Can we just skip to the part where I reassure you and you shut up?
You think me mad?
Here to register, sir. Good, good. Magister Williams is just about done with the last passenger. You faring okay so far? Trust me, with Bishop Alexander in charge, things will get a lot better from here on out. He's God-woken, you know. You head on in now. Williams will get you sorted fast.
Right. I always knew you'd turn out rotten, Ben Nest. Your kind always hung closest to our
Keep
divine.
those bubbles trained on her, and if she tries to run, shoot to kill.
You seem on edge, officer. What on earth is the matter?
Murder most foul, and I strongly suspect you know all about it.
Standing at the centre of the room, you spot a sorcerer haughtily eyeing a pair of nervous-looking magisters. They keep their crossbow trained upon her as she's being interrogated by an officer.
So you admit it then? You murdered that poor fella?
Yes, I did. But of course, that was only the beginning.
She turns her head and looks you straight in the eye.
There are others whose lives must end.
Good God, the woman's mad. You there, sorcerer, go and fetch Magister Siwan. We need to do more than collar this maniac. We need to shackle her, hands and feet.
It means your journey draws to a close. Do stick around for its finale, though, because...
She reaches for her collar and simply removes it.
I'm just about to create a scene.
Subdue her, men, quickly! If she casts source, the Voidwoken will come. They'll end us all.
She smiles with wicked satisfaction.
Precisely.
What's happened?
The dwarf lies in a heap on the floor, his great beard twisted and tangled around him. The young woman lies in a heap on the floor. She's breathing normally, but her eyes are wide open, like those of a corpse. Dark, greyish-black clouds swirl through them. She doesn't stir.
No, not the final dark. Not yet.
Her hand lies limp in yours. She's too weak to stand.
The dice roll darkly. They're rolling for me.
The Magister lies on the floor, unconscious and bleeding from a dire-looking wound.